to smoke genetically modified ganja. We want you to smoke the real thing. We want you to smoke the natural herb. Some call it marijuana, some call it sensimedia, some call it lamb's bread, and some people call it ganja.
Welcome to another edition of the Adam Dunn Show. I am your host, Adam Dunn, still.
And I'm also still your co-host, Mitch Shinasa.
And we're back.
We're back. With us always with the kid.
What's up?
Take two.
For take two.
Take two. Yeah.
We had a little technical glitch, but we still want to play.
One tight show.
Yeah, we still want to play Bike's voice message as to why Mr. Hawley is not among us.
So he didn't even text
today.
you or anything like that?
We were Facebook chatting, and he was like, it's too long to type. I have to send it to you.
Oh, that's good.
So here it is, guys. I don't know how my levels are going to be.
I gotta go over here.
All right, kid. I got to just go up and get my message here from Bike. It involves a cat and a birthday, is all I know.
It's my cat's birthday today.
It's not his cat's birthday.
No.
It's not his cat's birthday. It was Bike's birthday. I don't know if you guys know.
Oh, yeah, I saw that, actually.
Did you say Happy Bike Day to him?
No, I didn't, actually. But I just noticed somebody else had the same birthday, and they were all in shock.
So Chemdog and Bike have the same birthday.
No, somebody else had posted, like, oh, my God, I got the same birthday.
My birthday was the other night, and we turned off the kids turned off the lights and lit the candles and the cake to sing happy birthday to me. They called me in the room, the dark room, and started singing happy birthday in the dark, and the cat freaked the fuck out, latched onto my leg, started biting and chewing on me, and then just ran after Colby and fucked him up pretty bad. So
you guys get taken up by a cat.
That's what we're dealing with.
Great. Wow.
So I don't know if Bike's going to make it in today. But the main point that
he might get cat scratch fever, like I got that one.
You didn't really get cat scratch fever.
I got it.
Is that a real thing?
No way.
It's a real thing. It's a real thing.
What happened? Did you get a fever because you got scratched by a cat?
Yes, you get a fever. That's probably why they call it cat
hence the
scratch.
name?
Yeah, they didn't really name it cat scratch
fever.
itchy. You know, it didn't get you itchy. No,
All right.
definitely a real deal.
Really?
Yes.
So Bike, careful for that cat scratch fever. But my point here is that if that was a dog, you would have put that thing down. But no one's even considering it with the cat.
I know,
I brought
are
it
cool.
up to Bike. I was like, dude, if a dog bit you and then turn around and bit your kid, you would absolutely put that dog down immediately.
Yes.
Or get rid of it. You
bad-
wouldn't.
yes.
You wouldn't give it extra food tonight. That's
No,
for sure.
right.
That's a
Yeah,
bad
he's not
birthday.
getting
That's
a
a bad
pat on the
birthday.
butt.
That's sorry,
experience,
Bike.
though. Bad birthday experience for the kid. Jesus.
So I do want to tell everyone, I see that 3 of you have already clicked like on top of the show window.
Thanks,
You can
guys.
see it in live stream. You can also see it on the thing. I want to break 100 likes this episode, so start clicking, guys. That's the collective goal. We got 79 people watching, and we're going to get more coming on as we get into today's topic,
Which is
we stepped it up a little. I think this is going to be the most in-depth organics that I've ever been on.
get a pillow out for the kid, or what? The kid
buddy,
needs a pillow.
Definitely pillow for the kid.
Pillow for the kid.
We're going to be.
Could you turn your volume up on your live stream too, so I'm able to monitor sound on both ends?
You're up, man. You're all the way. You're 90. So, we got Jeremy Silva is presenting another episode courtesy of Build the Soil. We're going to have Dr. Faust of BioAg. They make Full Power.
Mm-hmm.
His name is really Dr. Faust.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. You really, not evil.
he's not the Dr. Faust of literature, but
Are
maybe
they
he made
hearing
it.
an echo? I'm hearing an echo on our live stream.
Are you really doing it? I have it open in 2 windows. Are you really saying that? I have it open on live stream and on AdamDunnShow.com.
I was doing that. Well, I can't see your computer screen.
It's
so
cured. Echo cured.
That's much better.
There you go, bud. And for anyone else out there who has an echo, make sure that you don't have it open in 2 windows. So his name's Dr. Faust for real, but he makes BioAg Full Power, and he's going to tell us about the difference between humic acid, fulvic acid, and all the hype that's around it, and why there's hype at times around it, and how it seems to be a cycle. And he said he could do a whole show on humic and fulvic acid, but we thought that would be maybe a little...
bit too intense, maybe.
Yeah, we'll save that for really specialists.
Brain hurt episode.
And then...
we could just put extra brain hurt on that one.
Super 3 hurt brains. Yeah.
3 hurt brains on that episode for sure.
And then, not even better, to make it even better, we're bringing on Steve Storch.
All right, cool.
So he's the guy who does... Kid, you know the Vortex Brewer?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the guy who invented that.
Okay.
He also does...
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's funny because last night we're bubbling some tea at Aces, and I was like, ooh, maybe we'll get the Vortex guy to sponsor us.
To get one of those. Those things are like $1,000. I don't know if we can get that.
Yeah, but he must upgrade, right? He must have an old...
And he also does those Progress
I'll take an old
Earth.
Vortex. I don't find an old Vortex.
He does the Progress Earth food, which is totally biodynamic, not just organic, but biodynamic. So we're going to get him to talk about biodynamics, what that means in terms of farming, what that means in terms of cannabis.
Yeah, because that's definitely a term that's been thrown around a lot, so it would be good to kind of clear that one up. Because I think Botanicare has always said that they were biodynamic.
Which is not. Biodynamic is a specific system that was invented by this guy Rudolf Steiner, who also invented Waldorf schools.
And can you bottle it?
Yeah, they sort of bottle it.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. So they package the ingredients more than everything.
I just find it a little bit of a sidestep, like, well, it's biodynamic. You know what I mean? Kind of. If you use it, people using it the wrong way.
BD is like, it has a lot of what I like to call the hippie magic in it.
Oh, you're already throwing the hippie magic out?
No, I quit because you have to like put it in a cow horn, put the manure in a cow horn, you bury it under the moon, under the full moon, and you have to do certain magic.
Not so great for indoor growers. Right
I feel like that's something you would love, though. You love adding extra work to things like making your own yerba mate. It's like so much work. Just buy a can.
It's like making tea.
It's like, no, we gotta like drink it in 8 steps. That's not like making tea.
It's what there is certainly an appeal to it, but the question is there a reason? In the case of yerba mate, right? It gives the different compounds off at different parts of the thing. In the case of biodynamics, I don't know if you can explain the science. I'm open to believing in hippie magic 100%.
Oh, for sure.
Speaking
And it'll be another. I will predict it'll be just another symbiotic thing out there, and that's kind of where cannabis always lies in. It's figuring out the symbiosis with your environment, and if you're going to be an indoor grower, it's hard because your environment's artificial. So you have to really cover all your bases. And organic, we can kind of, oh, there you go. Good little advertisement.
It's the sound of a delicious lemon elation yerba opening up.
This is the sound of your brain going like in 200 miles an hour the next 10 minutes.
It's my second one, so it's going to happen.
No,
man,
you're
not the second one
you
already.
Could potentially hit 3 to stay awake for this show.
No, we don't. Yeah, exactly.
That's like a supernova of yerba mate.
I'm just going to toss in random sound effects throughout the day.
You know that the guys who make yerba mate specifically told me that 2 is too many.
It's too many.
Yes.
Well, thanks, guys. I love it. Your shit's awesome.
All right, you're already talking too fast.
Yeah, that's scary. Oh, welcome back to Adam, they say. Here.
Oh, thank
Chat
you.
room.
So they missed me?
Nick Bradley, Cannabis, where's Bike? You got to rewind because
Select
we played. Chat room, tell Nick where Bike is. Got attacked. Tyler Dodd says, got attacked, Nick.
Exactly. Got attacked by a cat.
By a cat.
Thanks for noticing that I wasn't here.
Yeah, it was different without you, bud. It's never as fun.
It was fun to watch because I just wanted to jump in every second. Like I was like, "Oh no, you guys got it wrong again!" Like,
what did we get wrong?
You got a few major facts wrong.
Help me out.
I don't know. I have to go back and listen.
What?
There was some that was like, "That is so wrong," and then you guys corrected yourself, so it was okay. I didn't have to correct you, but
okay,
I forget. It was one of those moments where you guys were spouting off info that was complete bullshit.
Without you.
Yeah, without me, and I wasn't there to pull you down.
The
and
anchor.
Say, come on,
you guys.
That's why it's called a news anchor.
Yeah.
You're not a news anchor, but you're a show anchor.
Show anchor, exactly. So, but no, it was a pretty interesting trip up to Seattle. As always, as always. Yeah, it's interesting because I've never been up there, and all of a sudden now I'm there all the time. So.
Yeah, I heard you're going to Portland.
And
Wolf hit me up and asked if I'm going to Portland with you, which unfortunately the answer is no.
I'm actually going to Portland on Thursday. I was going to go. I was supposed to go up for that convention, but I'm going to go up there.
The Geneva Convention?
The Geneva Convention.
What?
Yeah, Bilderberg. I was going to go there for Bilderberg, but
the kid doesn't even know it, but that's over his head already.
Oh yeah, sorry. You don't know what Bilderberg is?
Bilderberg?
The Geneva Convention is World War II.
Is it like build a soil but with icebergs?
Yes,
no,
it is.
Exactly. Like build your own iceberg?
Exactly.
Bilderberg.
That's exactly it.
And then you get to drive the Titanic into it.
Sure.
That's what you do at the Bilderberg. That's what I would do.
So, kid,
we're going to get to you in a second.
Yeah,
don't you worry.
Yeah. Let me see that cut you got on.
Talk
it's
about.
Blank. There's nothing to see.
Can you model it for the camera? Can you show everyone what you're wearing?
You're going to get in trouble.
It's blank.
No, show them the front.
Buffalo nickels. Come on, show them nickels. Show them those nickels.
See the. So, do you want to tell them how it went with the club?
Yeah, so
did you get
beat
guys,
up? No,
did they throw you in a ring and just kick the shit out of you?
Did they make you eat the pizza?
Did you eat the pizza? That's it. That's all I need to know.
No. They're good dudes. I went, like I said, I went out to dinner with them last Tuesday. We talked about on Wednesday. And
dinner?
Then, yes, they eat food, Adam.
Yeah, they eat,
and
vampires. Then I had, I'm going to be buying one of their Harleys. One of their older Harleys is fucking bad, and it's more practical than me buying a new bike right now. So we're still in touch, but I had to go to church on Friday and tell them that, it wasn't something I was able to pursue from this point on. I have some people in my life right now that don't necessarily, and I support the the 1% lifestyle, which is fine, and the club that I was going to join wears a support patch for a 1% club, and I couldn't throw my family away, and the club totally respected me for that. I mean, they put their family first, so I went to church like a man, and they treat me like a man.
That was your career?
We went out
Is this biker career right now? Is this your biker career? You went one meeting
they're
and
still
then
my
you
good friends.
went to church
I went out.
gave up?
Me and the girl went out to dinner with them last night. We hang out with them still. They're good guys.
Is she still with them? Did they take her home?
They took her away.
They took her home.
Okay,
but
no,
then you might be in the club still.
They're nice guys, but no. So what I'm just gonna pursue. They're looking for a club that doesn't necessarily wear a support patch for a 1% club or a 1% diamond. That way I can feel comfortable about wearing my patch in front of any future kids that I would have, or in front of family, or even out.
You're already worried about your future kids?
Yeah, I have to be. It's something, especially with something like that. It's something that you take pride in. It's a brotherhood.
Not the biker kid I was expecting. I was expecting, come on.
I got my boots. My boots and my knife and my cut. I got what I need.
That just means that you have the props.
No,
I can go buy that.
No, they respected my decision though. They said, there's just some people in this life.
And then you rode away on your little bike, and they were like,
which I sold.
He sold his bike. Guess who bought his bike?
A girl.
Of course, a little girl,
small
little girl.
Yeah, she was teeny. She was a teeny little Hispanic girl. So
she's like, oh, this is so good. It's so small.
$1,300 though, so I couldn't beat it. But no, they were totally respectful of my decision. They understand that there's just certain people that can't put a patch on their back. I mean, like I said, I'm still good friends with all of them. I still know that they'd have my back if I needed it. So, shouts to the guys. But is that over? Is that the end of it?
No,
never gonna be over, dude. You have just started that one, my friend.
No,
don't you worry.
There will be a patch on my back at one point in time. It'll just
I just want to go back to what you were saying before the show. Before the show.
What?
Biker values, biker family values.
This is just a slight detour. You're still on the same course.
I'm still on the same course. It's not a
course.
deviation from the path. I've still been reaching out to some other clubs, and like I said, that just don't have that. Especially in our industry, I can't have 100. Putting the patch on my back is a negative eye on the.
You need to end up like that guy from Raising Arizona, like the loner. That's what you need to be.
Yeah, you got to be a lone wolf, buddy.
Lone wolf with a
lone wolf 1%.
Yes, lone wolf shotgun on the back.
Nomad chapter.
Just running.
Start there.
It's so difficult though. Like I was looking into just even starting my own club that way.
Oh, you don't do that.
Start your own
you
club.
It's tough.
You're like a grower. You're like a grower who grew one plant or watered one plant, and now you're going to be like, I think I'll start my own dispensary.
No.
I was like, what are you talking about? You didn't even do anything.
Or take a master grower job or something.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But we're still on that same path. I just got to be smarter about it. I can't be losing my career for a patch. I mean, I would love to be around some dudes who have similar values, but I don't want to lose my job from a patch. So that's pretty much it.
That's pretty much it.
Plus, my mom was pissed.
I bet she was. I bet she was.
She was like,
what?
Like a 1%er club? I'm like, no, they support a 1%er club. She's like, that's the same fucking thing.
I think she's right, actually.
Man, it is.
I think she's correct.
It is. So she wasn't too happy.
Mom was correct.
Guys, if you want to see a longer chat box, by the way, chat room saying, just click.
Drag it up.
I don't know about that, but if you mouse over the screen and then click the live stream logo, you'll have a long chat box on the right side.
That's good because I didn't know how to do that either, and I was pissed.
Yeah.
I was like, God damn it, you can't read them fast enough.
But here's the thing. If I'm going to keep giving these tips, I need you guys to keep clicking like. Otherwise, I'm going to let you watch this without any guidance on how to use the interface whatsoever.
If you're on a mobile device, though, too, you can actually turn it sideways, whether it's an iPad or an iPhone, and then you can drag the chat room up, and you can see through the chat room to the video and still have the chat room there. So there's
that's cool.
Yeah, there's a bunch of cool stuff you can do from
options
mobile device.
are unlimited.
Yeah.
Unlimited.
We got that high tech. So you want to do news?
I think.
All right, I'm going to start with the most ridiculous news story I could find in the 2 minutes where I just looked for them. State alarmed by marijuana wax. Says teen killed his grandmother while making it.
Wait, killed his grandmother while making marijuana wax?
State alarmed by marijuana wax. Says teen
he probably
killed
blew
his
the fuck
grandma
up, right?
while
I mean,
making
that's probably what
they
happened.
blew up the house with grandma in the house.
The Minnesota Department of Public Safety is concerned about, quote, the emergence of this dangerous trend among drug abusers. You guys want to read? You want this story? Oh, it's so good. It's so good. Does it have audio? Because I kind of want to play it if it does.
If it has audio, give it to me.
It doesn't, but I'll read it. It's called marijuana wax, among other things on the street, and authorities are blaming this increasingly popular and highly concentrated form of the drug for the fiery death of a great-grandmother in St. Cloud and non-fatal overdoses in Duluth.
Overdoses.
Non-fatal overdoses.
All right, that just made your article sound dumb. I mean, I understand
It's
the
not my
file.
article, kid.
No. Whoever I'm talking about, whoever wrote it. That's ignorance.
State law enforcement officials and police chiefs of St. Cloud and Duluth gathered Wednesday morning to alert the public about what the Minnesota Department of Public Safety is calling, quote, the emergence of this dangerous trend among drug abusers. What addicts are craving is the high concentration of THC, the active ingredient in marijuana, that is found in the wax. This oily substance gives users a more intense physical and psychological high. The process of extracting the wax calls for butane, a highly flammable accelerant, and a cylinder.
And
I
only
feel
butane.
like it calls for a lot of things more than that.
Just a cylinder, random cylinder.
A cylinder and some fucking lighter fluid. You got some dabs.
And then watch what the news has to say now. Simply put, the news is giving you instructions. People will look this up and blow themselves up because of this irresponsible article. Simply put ground up marijuana in the cylinder, soak it with butane, and add a flame to eke out a liquid that is several times more potent than marijuana in leaf
I'm pretty
form.
sure that is literally most wrong way to explain
the
that.
wrongest way to say wrong.
That is the
ever.
most wrong way to explain any of that.
That's a wronger way of
more
explaining that than it is of wrongest of saying wrong.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Seuss.
Yeah. Thank you. I've been reading some Dr. Seuss, man.
One fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish.
Been
is
going on my
the
mind.
shit.
You stepped up, huh, kid?
Dude, I like the Lorax.
Really?
You have to watch the movie because it's got Danny DeVito. And
Check
Danny
this
DeVito's
out.
the Lorax.
Check this out.
It's great. What's the story, guys?
So again, simply the news wants you to simply put ground up marijuana in the cylinder, soak it with butane, and add a flame to eke out a liquid that is several times more potent than marijuana in leaf form. Well, then in leaf form, which is I guess these guys don't know about flower either. They say this oily substance gives users a more intense physical and psychological high. I went back. It goes by such names as butane hash oil, honey oil, butter oil, dab, and 710. Spells out oil on a cell phone turned upside down.
Well, it could be like on a piece of paper too. Doesn't have to be on.
Yeah, not only on a cell phone.
You can write it on a chalkboard.
Turn it over. You're like,
flips.
God damn it!
Yeah.
It doesn't flip it over.
Yeah, you would definitely need more of like one of those like flippable
You got to like
chalkboards.
take
you know?
off multi-gesture and all that bullshit. You're
Uh-huh.
like, turn off multi-gesture.
Just to write dabs, I'm saying, yeah, that's definitely a lot
Just to
worse.
write
so.
710. Yeah.
Well, I mean, boobless is way cooler.
But on the calculator.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
So you could do
because-
710 on a calculator, though.
Of course you can.
Oil, whatever.
Unless you're using the calculator on your phone, then you're still fucked.
Fires, explosions, death, and injuries have been reported across the country from
like
this
how they-
recipe. Well, because that's the wrong recipe. That's not how you do it.
That is how you cause fire. That's why
that's a recipe
happening.
for fire.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put that recipe out. I feel like it's really kind of a bad idea. Quote, because it's so new, we don't have a separate category to track marijuana concentrate, says Brian Marquardt, statewide drug and gang coordinator with the DPS. At this point, law enforcement is raising awareness so we can prevent another tragedy. Well, maybe raising awareness of the right recipe would prevent the tragedy.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, my God. Oh, how about this one? According to the charges, Zablocki and Pick were making dab in the basement on a hot plate.
Yeah,
Awesome.
well, good
When
place
the
to do
fire broke out. Neither called 911 after fleeing nor checked to see whether anyone else was home. Zablocki was speaking to a police officer as his grandmother, found face down near the front door, was brought outside wrapped in a blanket. The grandson fell to his knees crying in anguish, "I just killed my grandma."
That's dramatic, but still, it's pathetic too. At the same time, it's like, first of all, in the basement is like the wrong place to be making dabs.
So what do you? What's it?
To be making dab, by the way. They were making dab.
Individual.
Dab.
They're making
Dab.
a dab.
One dab. They made
But
one
now,
dab. They
what's
made one
what's
dab.
an appropriate
Well,
punishment?
I'll
for
tell
something
you.
like
I'll
that?
tell you this: the 2 overdoses in Duluth involved teenagers, and a case involving marijuana wax in the southern Minnesota town of St. James resulted in 2 men being arrested on suspicion of possessing the potent drug, along with other narcotics and guns.
Do they say what's going to happen to that kid who killed his grandma? I mean, you would assume you
They
need
don't
jail
say
time
that.
for
You
that,
can.
right?
You want to call this guy who wrote the article? Paul Walsh.
Yeah,
His
we
number
can-
is
we can call Paul Walsh.
612-673-4482. It's right here.
Paul Wall wrote that. That'd be pretty cool.
That's 612-673-4482. Go ahead and give him a
We can
call.
give him a shout.
Anybody out there, give him a call.
Give him a call. Tell him that's not how you make oil, and to not publish irresponsible recipes for oil in newspapers.
Fucking idiots.
News. I'm done with this.
That's it.
Need some good news. Historic medical marijuana bill gains momentum.
Yay!
Yay.
Yay! Momentum.
A comprehensive bill introduced in the House of Representatives Tuesday aims to deal a significant blow to the federal government's long-running war on medical marijuana. The Compassionate Access, Research, Expansion, and Respect States Act CARES Act, introduced by Representative Steve Cohen and Don Young, is a House companion bill to identical Senate legislation from Cory Booker, Rand Paul, Kirsten Gillibrand. Introduced earlier this month, each bill seeks to drastically reduce the federal government's ability to crack down on state legal medical marijuana programs and aims to encourage more research into the plant. So, pretty sweet. The historic Senate version of the bill has also gained traction with 2 new sponsors since its introduction, Senator Barbara Boxer and Senator Dean Heller. Boxer's kind of a big deal. It doesn't say that here.
I was going to say it's kind of a side.
That's editorial.
Side note.
The science has been in for a long time, and keeping marijuana on Schedule 1 with heroin and LSD is ludicrous, Cohen said in a statement Tuesday. I am pleased to join with Congressman Doug Young in introducing this important bill to bring the federal government in line with the science and the American people, respect states' rights, remove the threat of federal prosecution in states with medical marijuana, and help our citizens access treatments they need. Bill Piper, National Affairs Director for the Drug Policy Alliance, a reform group, told the Huffington Post that the House version of the bill was introduced because momentum is so strong for the bipartisan CARES Act. This has become one of the few issues Democrats and Republicans can agree on, Piper told HuffPost in an email. The tide is quickly turning against marijuana prohibition and the war on drugs in general. It's only a question of when, not if, reform will happen.
That's what, I'm quite frankly fucking sick of hearing these news articles, man. Like, just let's just, get your shit together. Let's just
Get a patch, everybody.
Oh my God,
join a gang.
No, but for real, let's
Get a patch.
let's get everything together. I mean, we see that this is making, like, what was it we found out last week, $60 million just the recreational side in taxes in Colorado alone.
Yes.
I mean, how? I just don't get
News. New study shows how marijuana's potency has changed over time.
Oh, is this going to be
in Forbes?
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Marijuana has definitely evolved in the last few decades. Its potency is higher than ever. A lab in Colorado has just analyzed 600 samples of marijuana, both recreational and medical, and found that the THC content has risen markedly, whereas CBD, which many say has therapeutic value, has declined, I guess, in the average weed. For all the acceptance that marijuana has gained in recent years, 4 states allow the sale of pot for recreational use, and 23 states in Washington, D.C. allow marijuana for medical use. The lack of normalization among marijuana sales may slow the process, since it gives opponents an opening to criticize. Though the results of a new study may be disappointing to some, they're clearly needed, since they show where the market is now and where it needs to go. The results of the study will be presented this week at a meeting of the American Chemical Society in Denver. Well, I would go to that. Let's go to that.
Sounds interesting.
Since its potency is rising, the main finding of the new analysis was that potency has risen by a factor of 3 in the last decade. As far as potency goes, it's surprising.
3 what?
3
times?
We're up to about average.
Oh.
We know this. What we're at right now, we're at like average, not 30%, but call it 25%. What's on the shelf?
Mm-hmm.
So old weed used to be
7,
8,
9,
7,
yeah.
8. Yeah, it's 3. So, and that's what they said. We've seen potency values close to 30% THC, which is huge. Potency used to be around 10% or less, but it's been bred upwards over the years, presumably because the market has demanded it, and presumably because everyone's been working a lot of chem lines and a lot of those high THC chemovars that.
And just, I mean, even haze strains, things like that, they were low CBD. There's no CBDs in those at all.
Well, they're saying that CBD is going down.
They're saying it's going down also?
Yeah, they're saying CBD.
Well, no, it has always, as a trend, it's always gone down because we've bred it out. That's the thing.
Right.
Only in the last 3 years,
Like, hey, we want this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, before that, there's a few small pockets of people doing it, but not that many. Most people still pretty much naturally attracted towards the high THC, low CBD sort of profile.
So contaminants are also increasing. So the lab tested for contaminants of both biological and chemical varieties. It's pretty startling just how dirty a lot of this stuff is. You see a marijuana bud that looks beautiful, and then we run it through a biological assay, and we see it's covered in fungi. The team also found butane on some of the samples, which is weird.
On the samples of flowers? No. Or the samples of...
So Mark Sheldon texts me. He's at that American Chemical Society meeting right now.
Nice.
He said this talk was actually pretty lame. I would like to get Mark to call in next week and tell us about it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. Cool.
Man
Hit me
on
with
the
one more
street.
news.
Man on the street. News.
Can you be allergic to marijuana?
Yes.
Okay, that's easy. We won't do this one. Hit me with one more.
There you go. That was easy.
sunbathers busted with $33,000 in marijuana.
Good job. Good job.
$33,000 in marijuana?
A couple claiming to be sunbathing inside a parked car were sitting on $33,000 worth of concentrated cannabis and marijuana. Deputies discovered Tuesday. According to San Diego County Sheriff's Department, a Fallbrook deputy saw the couple hanging out inside a car that was awkwardly parked in the 2700 block of Palo Road around 8:15 a.m. When the deputy approached the couple, oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
That's a lot of weed. Officials said the deputy immediately smelled marijuana coming from the vehicle. When he looked inside, they discovered it included 13 ounces of concentrates and 8.87 pounds of processed marijuana and 20 grams of pot that had been rolled into
That
joints.
thing on the bottom there says something totally different.
That's different. That's a different picture, yeah.
That's a lot of chronic.
Yeah. Inside the vehicle, 24-year-old Humboldt County resident Adam Matheson admitted the marijuana was his. He told the deputy he brought the pot from Humboldt to San Diego to allegedly use as a gathering taking place on the Palma Indian Reservation. There's probably some pretty cool private events on Indian reservations. I think that's the moral of this story. You want to do some shout-outs? Let's do some shout-outs.
Shout-outs.
Shout out to Way to Grow.
Oh, that's where you guys were. I remember you guys were arguing over the number of shops at one point.
Oh, that's the fact we messed up?
That was one of the facts.
Corey's actually over at. I had to miss a meeting with Corey over at Dixie today to be on the show. So, yeah, hopefully he's listening.
We just had a meeting with Corey on Boulder Wellness as well.
Man, Corey's a man on the street.
He's making it
Corey's
around.
doing
Making
it.
rounds. He's doing it. Well, they've got their triple-double sale. What the heck's that going
It's
on?
the triple-double, yeah.
Triple-double.
$369
Damn.
for the Phantom DE open reflectors.
Double-ended sale.
Yeah,
couldn't
that's
see
the
the picture.
double. There's 3 double-ended bulbs on sale, so triple-double.
Triple-double, gotcha.
$449 PL Light Systems NXT2 for $449. $469 for the Gavita Pro E-Series GES 1000, and that's the one that's computer controlled.
That's
that
the
you
one
think
you-
is the coolest light you've ever seen, yeah?
Exactly. Of course.
What-
The most expensive, coolest light I've ever seen. That's what it usually
Not
is.
that expensive anymore.
Well, I know, but out of those 3, it's still the most expensive. Always
And
is.
if you go,
I'm
you
that
tell-
guy. I'm that guy that goes in and goes, well, I'll just take the most expensive one you got.
Tell him.
Well, it's
tell
probably
him
the
Adam
best,
Dunn
right?
Show.
I mean, the
Gotta
most
be, right?
expensive one is the best. There's a
Well,
reason it's most
absolutely.
expensive.
It's in certain departments, it ends up being true.
Yeah.
You're like, well, you have this option. You have 8 gig or you have 32 gig. You're
And
like, fuck it, I'll
that's
take-
frustrating.
I have more of that music anyway, so.
Yeah.
Dark
Right
Horse
on.
Janet.
Of
Oh, wait,
course,
wait.
shout out to Dark Horse. They're out there at Spanibus.
They're still out there, huh?
I mean, isn't
I don't know.
Spanibus still popping?
I don't know. No,
I don't think
it's
I think
over.
it's over now.
It's over.
Is it?
Looked
It's
like a good
over.
time though.
Did look like a good time. I definitely, Bike's not here, but Bike and I are going to go check out the Denver store when it opens.
When is that going to open?
I am looking it up right
The
now.
Denver store
because
of
Dark
Horse.
Horse.
Horses.
Yeah, we want to buy weed from a vending machine, bro.
Of course.
Yeah, I'm excited for that.
Yeah, that's awesome. If you ask
I
me.
mean, you guys can find more about it too.
And
We have that
also-
Murphy's Law
and
show on
also-
the 18th.
Exactly.
Well,
I was just
I
about-
got-
Bruce Banner Bowl.
I got a whole slot scheduled to talk just about that. More
Okay,
about
well,
that
good.
coming later for sure.
There we go.
Which
Bruce Banner Bowl.
my friends in your patch little accepted your
Nice.
invite to be guests. They all love Murphy's Law. They're
I told
super
you.
Excited
Did you
to
tell them
come.
that Murphy's Law was not hardcore and it was lame music?
No,
No, you didn't tell them that, but you said
No.
that to me.
but I don't like it. I told them I don't like it, but they're all very excited to come. So
I'm sure
yeah,
they
well,
are.
You guys get to be. there.
I told you. So they're gonna pay though, right? They got.
I'm going to pay for them and get them in for free.
Those are two different.
That doesn't
things.
make sense right there.
It does
Those
make
are
sense.
two different things.
No, you don't pay for somebody and then they get in for free.
No, we're gonna.
Well, they'll get in for free if
They
Ryan
will.
pays.
We're gonna
I
work something
understand,
out.
but
We'll work
I
something out.
understand.
Well, right on. Also, let's give a big shout out to Build the Soil. Obviously, we'll be hearing from Jeremy in about 5 minutes here. We'll have him call in, maybe 10 minutes.
Cool.
But, of course, big shout out to Build the Soil, buildthesoil.com, #1 resource for organic soil mixing amendments.
Mom's killing it with that
Add-ons.
aloe. She's been
Dude,
using that aloe.
How good is the aloe?
So
Is she,
good. It's expensive, but it's good. I mean,
is-
it goes
is
a
she
long
doing
way.
the
It's like you only
coconut?
get tiny.
Yeah. She's doing the coconut?
Coconut? I don't think she's been doing
Do
coconut.
the coconut. If you think the aloe's something,
Yeah.
the coconut's something else.
Really?
Dude, yes.
Next level.
Next level. Shout out to Incredibles Edibles. Colorado's #1 edibles. What edibles you eating recently, bud?
The one that I just ate yesterday was, I mean, it was only 100 milligrams, but I got a cookies and cream just because I wish they made that in like a 300 milligram bar because that's my favorite one. But I just tried the peaches and dream for the first time.
Very good, right?
It's good.
Usually
I'm-
peach stuff isn't good,
Isn't
but it's
good.
very
It
good.
was really, really, really good. But then the strawberry crunch bar is always real good. And then, I mean, the peanut butter Buddha, nice 3. It's like a Kit Kat, solid. So, I mean, they have
Flavors
some
are
of
off
the
the
best.
chain.
Off the
they,
chain.
they got all
That's
the
what
flavors.
matters the most. 'cause
They got all
I'm
the
so
flavors.
excited for 4th of July because they get the firecracker bar out for special edition, and I love.
Are they doing anything special for 420 or for the cup?
I'm not sure. I have to give them a
They'll
shout.
probably have
They
their
were in
ones.
Spanibus too, so no,
Yeah.
I haven't actually talked to anybody from
Nice.
the place.
So
Boom.
we got what you got there, buddy?
We got our new supporters at AU Extracts, which is gold, by the way.
Oh, like the chemical symbol for
Chemical
gold.
symbol
Hey,
for gold.
you.
Yo, gold. They're out of Oregon, and they're going to be coming here to Colorado, so they're kind of, gearing up and figured they would come work with us. And I got a little of their Tangy with me today.
Nice.
Some
Let's
Tangy.
taste some of that. Yeah.
Exactly. And they were out in Seattle. Actually, we met them out there.
Nice.
And they helped support the show out there and gave us a little boost when we needed it to make that thing happen with over there in Seattle, the after show.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice.
So, who else you got to shout out? Oh, last week. You weren't even here last week.
Tell me.
You missed it.
I missed it?
You
I
missed
it?
Angry and
missed
Coop.
The Grand Coup? Yeah, you guys
Yeah, I
did
said you missed Angry and
Oh,
Coop.
Angry and Coop. Yeah, no, I did miss them, actually. And that sucked because that's the only time I couldn't hear
Hey,
it.
where's my bell?
Because, all the people came out of the conference.
Yeah.
And it was like the sound level just went from where I could barely hear it if I put it up to my ear to, impossible to hear anything. I could just see arms and moving around and stuff. But how'd it go with those
You're already
guys?
trying to hide it on me.
How'd it go with everybody there?
Well, I think, the
well, what
CBD
he-
giveaway went really well.
Well, I
we
heard
got
he-
the
he-
winners off to them.
I heard that he thinks that everybody misinterpreted what he said as far as putting out the S1s or...
We'll get him back on then.
Yeah, so we're going
Let
to
him
get
explain
back
it
on
a little more.
Exactly. He said, I think everybody thinks they're getting the wrong message, but overall, good. Hopefully he got a little bit of a word out, and he's going to be involved at ADSI, right? I mean, he's going to be there representing, I hope.
Yeah, I think we.
Somebody
I know Mitch
somebody from
offered
that
him a
crew.
judging spot last
I
week.
don't
so,
know if there's anyone on that list.
I don't know.
I gotta look.
Gotta
I
check
gotta
it out.
look.
Gotta
I
check it
gotta
out.
look. I think I got an ADSI shout out scheduled on this, so
Nice.
we'll talk more about it. I'll give you the updates. Also, want to give a big shout out to Dope Magazine. They've been running that 2-page spread for
Awesome.
us
Yep.
every month, dude.
I know.
They're
No.
huge
And
supporters of the show.
Both places.
And I actually
Wait,
invited
really?
Emmett to come
I
down
didn't even
today.
know that. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's super
Oh, no.
awesome.
Yeah, they had to put it in the new one here, too. So.
Adam
Yeah.
Dunn Show now has a 2-page
spread
ad in Dope Magazine.
every month.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
That's
Yes.
dope. You have to say
That's
that's dope.
dope.
That's dope.
So,
Yeah.
so we'll
Those
link
guys are
up
so
with them.
nice
You know-
too.
They are going to
They're going to
be
be here for the cup.
They're going to be here for the cup.
Cool.
They're going to be
They're
here.
going to come to the awards show for ADSI.
Nice.
Obviously, you were on the cover in Washington and Oregon a few months ago, so we're
Yeah, no,
excited now that we're
they're-
going to do like a Denver thing here.
I mean, the thing I like about Dope is that they're definitely coming from people who really are in the industry and stuff. They're not, they're not just guys who are like, oh, with cannabis looks like it's making money. Let's make money off of it. It's like they're actually, they're young. They're all cool kids. The people who interviewed me were
It's a cool looking magazine too.
It's slick. Yeah, it's very well put together, and it's got they don't kill it with like sometimes you get magazines and you just flip through them so fast because it's like
Like the Rooster. Boop, boop, bop, 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 bop.
Hey, Rooster wanted to jump. No, I was just kidding. You just ruined it.
But they will be here for CanaCon, I guess, in June in Denver, and they're coming
Also,
back
yeah.
for the 710 Cup in July. So
Right.
we
So
can,
well, they're here too. They have their own publication
Right,
here now. So I mean, that's the
absolutely.
whole point. Is
And
that they're
CanaCon was cool in Seattle, right?
CanaCon was cool. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
like except for the smoking part. I mean that which Denver will
Which
be a
will
little easier.
change, yeah, here.
Yeah, here it'll be a little easier. But
Yeah.
that was the only because we were on federal land and it was on a kind of a little jetty, so you really couldn't go anywhere because they were like, it's 5 years in jail if you get caught. I was like, what?
why are you
kidding
having
me?
this conference
Why
here?
are we here? This doesn't make any sense. So everybody was kind of like milling around and trying to hide their
And
stonedness.
that's
It was kind of fun.
Yeah, that's never fun.
like then at one point they were going around and like looking in cars because everyone just went in their car and hung out.
obviously.
So like he looked around, you just see fogged out cars everywhere.
So you want to
Tell
talk ADSI? You want some
Let's
info?
talk, yeah.
All right,
Let's
let me pull up my little magic here. So of the 76 invitees,
I have a few that I have to add to yours, so there's going to be more of that.
that's good. Why don't
Yeah.
you give them to me? Right? Can you say them publicly? First of all, is Dave Richards coming?
He's yeah, I hope so. He's invited. I mean, I think he's.
I know he's invited. Did you
I have to give him a
confirm?
call. I'll give him a call and double check.
Okay.
Double check.
Dave, if you're in the chat room, let us know. You got people you can tell me that you're adding?
Let's see. Who can I tell you? I don't know. No.
I got you 3 blank spots here called Adam's Guest 3, Adam's
Ooh.
Guest 4, and Adam's Guest 5. Shall I say that those people are coming so I
Yes,
can up the
exactly.
tally? Excellent.
There you go. They're going to, for sure. I get at least that. If not, come
Tell
on.
me how many more, bud. Quick.
Did you get TJ's on there?
No.
I invited
Both of
TJs.
them?
Yes, they've already won like multiple.
I know.
And they've entered 2 or 3 of my strains now in different different cups.
You can't be biased for your strains in this. Did you know that?
Of course I can. No, just kidding.
Did you know that?
I will.
How many guys are from TJ's? 2 guys?
Well, TJ's.
TJ's.
Yeah.
T&J.
Yeah. Well, there you go. That's how it works.
Okay, that's what I thought.
That's how
That's what
those
I
things
thought.
work.
That's
in,
what I
in
thought.
stoner world. You're like, what should we call ourselves? How about
Hey, man,
A&M?
T,
AM.
mine
We could be
J.
AM, dude.
AM radio. Speaking of AM radio,
AM radio,
we got
dude.
hit up.
Dude,
We got hit up to be on AM radio in Colorado Springs. Did you
Did
see
we?
that email?
No.
Read the email.
That sounds cool. What they can do like
I
that,
think we
like-
got to pay for it though. I'm not
But
trying
we
to do
can't
that.
do it live though.
They want us to. I don't know.
What, drive to the Springs and do like
I
a
have
live
no
hour
idea.
show?
I don't know. I don't know.
It's very
I don't
easy
know.
for them to
And to
broadcast
pay
from us
for
from
it. And pay for it. Drive down there and pay for it, please. That'd be great.
That will be. That's a good setup. That's a good setup.
And AM. Who the fuck's listening to AM anyway?
It's a cannabis-only radio station that they're starting down in the Springs.
All right. Well, AM's rough. Well, it's a rough world.
I know.
AM's
If you want to sound like a robot,
I feel like
get on AM.
I feel like we're on the internet now, so like being on AM radio versus the internet is not a step in the right direction.
No,
That's like
absolutely
stepping
not.
15 years in the
I'd
back.
take FM, but not.
Yeah,
FM would be
I'm with
cool.
you. I'm with you. So no offense, AM radio guy.
We'd have to really watch our language and like everything that we
Yeah,
said.
we
on
don't do
FM,
that. We are not into that. So how many more guests you got, Adam? Because I'll give you the update now. Then
Let's see. Oh, I invited Adam from up north.
Adam from up north.
Yeah, Fort Collins Adam.
Foco Adam.
He's
Okay.
been invited.
The
He's
Foco
got-
Sage guy.
He's not the Focus Sage. He's got the.
Do you know-
He's got Zeta Sage though. He's killing it with Zeta Sage. So I was like, all right, you're in. We need that.
But yeah,
We
you
did-
should
we
get the
did those
Foco
contracts.
Sage guy.
I don't even know.
We know that guy. He emails us.
Oh yeah, well, let's get him.
You
message.
should read the emails more. There's a lot of cool stuff.
You should send them to me in like a little
pack.
packet or something like that.
They all come every day. This is
Really?
Adam Dunn show on time.
I don't. Did you? Yeah. Do you ever forward them to me?
Now who else? No, you're on the chain, dude. You get the same ones I
And
get.
actually, Adam's been killing it.
You got anyone else?
Motorcycle racing lately. He's been
Oh, really? You
crushing
should tell
it.
the kid.
I know. This guy's winning everything. Oh, this is the kid will wish. The kid will wish it was.
So right now we got 40
the
confirmed.
kid needs to be that guy.
Yup.
Oh yeah. When you win, you win, you get in the magazines like that.
Yes.
Exactly.
So we got 40 confirmed as of right now.
Nice.
Nice.
That sounds really good. Ooh, winning it,
That's
killing it. But he's
cool.
all sponsored by. He's all sponsored by cannabis brands, so it's pretty cool.
How come can he hook it?
What are you talking about?
We also would like to be all sponsored by cannabis brands.
That would be possible, maybe
Right?
Maybe we can cross promote. But it's like it's way to grow. So I mean, we're already sponsored by his sponsor. We already are sponsored. That's his main sponsor. I believe.
I see. That's cool.
And he's got a few other ones I can't read because they're all blurry.
So it looks like it's coming together, but we do have a big announcement about ADSI.
Do we? Which one? Tell me.
Well,
To announce it. 'Cause I don't
I want to announce it. Swayze's Ghost commented last time that he thought it was super lame that we didn't invite our longtime listeners.
right.
We agree that that's
we-
super lame.
But we can't just have.
We
a big
can't have everyone come because we have a very limited amount of space, and it gets a little crazy.
Yeah, and,
But-
we want everybody to be. We just want every single person in that room to be there for a reason, and
To be
that way it's
competing.
not like because people don't know who everybody is. It's
Right.
not like we have a.
But the point is, we do have our big announcement. And our big announcement is that the awards show, which is on 420 proper,
At
is open.
what time?
We're going to announce that.
Okay.
I'm teasing. This
Oh,
is
it's
called
a tease.
teasing.
Oh, you're
yeah,
teasing.
Yeah,
All
What
right.
is in the phone?
And
Kid, you bring
and-
two
and-
burritos?
Yeah, I ate one earlier.
Oh, man, that's not very sharing likely.
cold.
What if we were wearing colors? Would we get to eat?
Yeah.
You'd get burritos.
What?
Oh, that's
man.
cold, man.
Damn.
Colder than his burrito. So anyway, on 420, the ADSI awards show,
Yes.
which will have all the competitors, the buds, the actual awards being presented. We're going to have some fun stuff, maybe a little glass auction. We're auctioning off some ChemDog glass. But that is open and for free to all of our listeners. It's just the first 400 people. It's 400 people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's the first
We
300
might
people
do
come in.
420 just to be lame.
Sure, we'll do 420 people.
Just to be lame.
420 on 420. All you got to do is get there. It's free for everyone to come in. I
Yep.
think we'll have some refreshments. We'll try to do that, some music, and of course all the competitors and as much herb as possible from the Adam Dunn Show Invitational.
Yep.
And I do want to give a shout out, of course, back to Dark Horse. Let's talk about the Bruce Banner Bowl. Don, why don't you give the details off of the flyer? I got to hit up Jeremy and make sure we got him on the line in 5 minutes. Kid, throw Adam a flyer.
Throw me a flyer, kid. Well, I do know it's on the 18th, which is going to be...
And it's at the Oriental
that's the sort
Theater.
of
We know
kickoff
that.
kickoff of the cup itself, because we got a 3-day cup this year. and it's going to be at the Oriental Theater, which is one of the best places in Colorado, I think, to see it a show, just because of the relaxed, cool spot that it is. And
We got a Skype call.
they are very used to these kind of events, so we won't have any surprises. What's this, Skype call coming in?
Skype call coming in.
Who we got there? Welcome to the Adam Dunn Show.
Hey, can you hear us, pal?
Hello?
Hello there.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Cool, you're on the Adam Dunn Show. Who are we
Is
talking
that Jeremy?
Yeah, we've got Dr. Faust here on the line as well, and this is Jeremy.
to? Oh, cool.
Oh, Jeremy,
Hopefully
cool.
we had good timing here. I turned the volume down.
I
so-
just texted you to say 5 minutes, so if I'm glad you guys are on the line. Let's keep you on the line. But
Yeah, you guys can hang on the line.
yeah, let's and we want to invite you. By the way, Jeremy, are you coming to ADSI? I don't have your RSVP here, buddy.
You know what? I'm hoping to. We're actually waiting to hear back from a real estate agent today about a new warehouse we're hoping to lease. And then we got to move in, and then after that, I'll be able to make that decision, but a little up in the air right now.
Okay.
And that's because you're doing so well because of the Adam Dunn show. So
Yeah.
It's just, you know, what's funny is that it's true.
It
People
is.
that call me and say, hey, I heard you on the Adam Dunn show. I love what you guys are doing. So definitely love the Adam Dunn show. Big part of our business.
Nice.
That's
well,
great to hear.
definitely. Well, you'll be out on 418 though, so you should come through.
Come to Murphy's Law and MF
MF
Ruckus.
Ruckus, Sin Vita.
Yes, and that's on the 18th at the Oriental Theater, and it's going to be the bunch of Bruce Banner there, I hope. And
It's the Bruce Banner Bowl, dude.
Official.
So if you want to get in on the High Times Strongest Strain Ever, come to the Bruce Banner Bowl. Of course, we're also doing.
and we're also having our little. Seed,
not little. It's
well,
gonna be big.
Big, but it's
If
gonna
you're a breeder, big seed company, small seed company, in ADSI, not in ADSI, I don't care. If you're a breeder, and you're going to be in town on the 18th, you want to be at the Breeders Only Seed Swap, contact us, info@adamdunshow.com. Contact us through the show. Contact me on Facebook. We'll make sure you get in there. And then if you are not a breeder, but you are a fan of seeds, come on down, because we're going to have a bunch of seeds available via the legendary Pop-Up Seed Bank, which I hear some Pop-Up Seed Bank genetics are like winning some contests.
Really? That's
Yeah,
good to
it's
hear.
good stuff. It's, unique stuff in the state, so it'll be a good time. Anyway, now let's bring it. Let's bring it back in. Bring it back in. We got Jeremy Silva, Dr. Faust. Awesome. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Take it away,
On the
buddy.
line. You want us to talk? Sorry, I can barely hear.
Yeah. Take it away, bud.
All right, now I can hear. Okay. All right, so we brought Dr. Faust on. I'm really excited. Those that have been following the Build a Soil story know that we seek out certain products because we want to find the best available, the best value, the best manufacturing processes. And we used to talk to Clackamas Coots, brought him on the air a few times, and in our discussions when I was first starting, he would often refer to Dr. Faust's work and the fact that over the decades he's seen his company BioAg stick around with the time-proven practices for creating the product and something that we could stand behind as a company. So it's one of our better-selling products. We like using it, and that's why we wanted to bring him on to discuss some of the magic behind fulvic acid as well as some of the myths that are out there. And so, Dr. Faust, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I've been listening.
Hey, welcome, Dr.
Well,
Faust.
first, I'd love for the people to know a little bit about your background. Your resume or your background, your history is on your website, and it tells a little bit about.
We lost him.
You must have hung up on us.
Oh, Jeremy, we lost you. Please call back, buddy. I know you were conferencing with Dr. Faust, and things were about to get interesting.
We lost him, but he's doing a conference call with him.
Yeah.
Got you. Can we get them both to Skype in?
We'll get them both on in a second.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be easier if they called in from separate lines.
I don't know if that's going to happen, but let me tell him.
And I'm going to text to the guys that I met up in Seattle with their humic acid product and see if they'll listen to the show and jump on at some point.
Calling Jeremy back here. I hope his phone didn't just die. So
How was the sound quality?
They said it was a little quiet.
A little bit quiet, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So next time he jumps on, get a little bit boost there if we can. There. Little boost.
There we go.
We're back. Well, welcome back, guys.
Okay, that's because you're doing so well.
All right, so we've still got Dr. Faust on the line. As
So-
long as you think we're good, we can do this.
I think it might actually sound a little better if we have Dr. Faust call in separately, and then we conference you guys on our end, if that's cool with you guys, and then we're ready to go.
Yeah, perfect. I'll have him call in right now, and I'll do the same. I'll call you guys right back.
All right. We're going to get it all sorted out. Call back. Live radio makes it interesting, right?
Oh, it's always interesting on live radio.
Yeah. All right, cool. So I got that text.
I got a message from our buddy in Nepal.
Oh, yeah, Mark Rose. It sounds like, we'd been getting email from people who were trying to get the bags, and they weren't receiving them, and they've been having trouble getting a hold of Mark, but they got it. They got their bags.
Well, we got bags for people, too, so if they need bags, they can contact us. But he's planning on sending us a shitload of bags.
More
to have
bags.
At the cup and to be able to sell.
Can we give everyone who's a guest competing in ADSI a set of bags?
Don't know if we have that many. Let's see. Well, possibly. We
Possibly, right?
We can definitely give. We can definitely be given a shitload of them out, though. I'll see if we can give out all. But
yeah, that's what I'm trying to do.
I think so.
Let's give stuff away. See, guys, we're not good at.
I'm pretty sure we'll be able to give everybody a bag because we have some here too. And if he sends what he says here, then we'll be in there. So yes, everybody will get a bag. But he's basically telling me here that when you see the results, you'll drop everything. Believe me, no sifting tricks, no static, no rosin tech, no solvent will compare.
I think he's just taking a list of the things that are popular right now and saying they're not as good.
I'm just interested, I'm interested.
Because I'm interested in rosin. I want to make some rosin on the show.
I know you do.
Don't you guys? This is a good time for me to ask people to click like. Right on. Calls coming in. Guys, click like, the Facebook button above the video.
Welcome back. How we doing?
All right, so Dr. Faust should be calling in separately right now.
Okay, that'll work.
Nice.
Great. And that'll clear the air, clear the lines.
So in the meantime, Jeremy, why don't you introduce him? And as you were saying, Coot used to reference his research a lot. Is his name really Dr. Faust, too?
Yeah. Hold on a second. My other line is ringing. I'm not sure if he's calling me back. I apologize. Hold on.
That's funny.
It's always a scientist. Scientists are always not so good at the old interwebs.
That's not necessarily true.
Well, you know what I mean. Over technical in some worlds.
So I don't know if we lost Jeremy. I don't know if we're
I don't think I didn't
in limbo.
I didn't hear the blip. But
No, we didn't have the Skype blip.
No?
Kid, call still connected?
Still on.
He's still on. Okay,
Good.
Cool.
Good.
Okay, well, we can scroll through Build the
All
Soil
right.
then. Oh, Jeremy, we got you back.
He had a challenge calling in. He's going to try again. I'm hoping I didn't call at the same time. So.
Okay. So, so his name is really Dr. Faust, just like Dr.
Yep.
Faust?
Yeah, Dr. Faust is, he goes by Robert, but Dr. Faust is, I just respect his title there. He's got a lot of education. He's been doing this a long time, and he's definitely someone that whenever I get to talk to, I get excited because he's just going to share a lot of really good knowledge with us, and the depth of his knowledge is very deep, and even he will say that he's barely scraped the surface. So he's going to try and keep it simple, but I'd encourage questions. He's definitely a really exciting guy to talk to. So hopefully he's calling in right now.
Yeah, we got him on the line, actually. Robert, do we have you?
Yeah, I'm here.
Right on. Wonderful. Well, so I kind of want to talk about how this started. Is I was talking with Jeremy. I forwarded you some bit of literature I saw about humic and fulvic acid, and it was sort of very sales pitchy information that would have Coot really, really, really angry. So from that, it sounds like you either brought that up to Dr. Faust or just brought it up
recently I
separately.
emailed him that exact email you'd sent me and said, "Hey, Dr. Faust, have you seen this new product? It's got some super molecule that's a magical fulvic product that is just going to change everything." And he wrote back very politely and said, there's just a lot of misinformation out there in the fulvic industry, and he'd be happy to talk about some of that stuff with us today. So that's kind of what kickstarted it. And at the same time, I have a lot of my customers right now that it's springtime starting to ask, hey, why this product? Why not this other, black powdered linerdite product that I can get for really cheap? And it says they have certain percentages of humics. What's that mean? And so that's why I figured, let's just bring him on and let's ask him those questions. And he can really get into the heart of it. I've also had people talking about making their own, humic or fulvic acids from compost in the past. And when I relayed some information to Dr. Faust, he was polite and informed me that it'd take, tons and tons and tons of compost to make a very small amount of humic acid. And then from there, an even lesser amount of that pure fulvic that they carry. So I guess I'll let him discuss that. Do you remember that email, Dr. Faust?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I get that kind of question all the time. See, the real problem is that there is no accepted test method. For instance, in California and Oregon, we can't even advertise the fulvic acid on our label. So we have to state it as a minimum detectable level of humic acid. That's just in 2 states. That's because it hasn't been, in other words, there's several test methods, and there hasn't been agreement on which is a standardized test method. But our trade association is working on that, and I'm a member of the International Humic Substances Society, which is a worldwide sort of academic research, and we have come up with test methods. So right there, you got a problem. I mean, what test method, and then what are we really testing for? That's the other part, Humic substances are the most complex chemistry on Earth. Okay, there's no question about that. It's because this is a decomposition of organic matter by specific microorganisms under specific conditions. So you have what was ever in those plants. And so really the value of the so-called humic substances, we call it humic substances, not humic acid. The humic substances value is really based on what it was derived from. Some humic substances derive from, let's say, reed sedge, like in a brackish swamp, which a lot of the stuff out of the Great Plains, like Leonardite, for instance, is derived from reed sedge. The type of organic matter that makes, let's say, humic acid that does something is derived from broadleaf trees. And
the reed sedge, just for people that are listening, is not a very nutritionally dense product. It has not a lot of value to it, and it may be also called black peak. You'll hear people making worm castings out of it. And same thing there. You want a good input to get a good output, is I think what you're saying there.
And Dr. Faust and Jeremy, just for some of our listeners maybe who aren't 100% sure of what humic acids really are or what they're even used for, exactly what are humic acids and what purpose do they serve in the garden? Just in real basic terms.
Well, I'll try to make this pretty simple. All life on Earth evolved, with humic substances. For instance, I developed all these products in my years in Hawaii, and I made the observation that you could get a high canopy rainforest growing on sterile lava in a fairly short time. How does that work? How do you get sterile lava that comes out of the ground at 2,000 some degrees, and then in 150 years you have a high canopy rainforest? I'll tell you why. The first step in that is the formation of humic substances.
Okay.
And that comes from lichens and plants that can colonize rock directly and utilize nutrients, but also, use sunlight to fix energy, carbohydrates. And so as those primitive plants break down, grow and decompose, they can, in a climate like Hawaii, they convert into humic acids, and the humic acid starts to, let's say, dissolve the rock. And other higher plants start to evolve, start to grow on that rock. And a soil builds up from the decomposition of starts with grasses, then brush, and then you get trees. And so basically, humic acid is the difference between the earth and the moon. Okay. It's the living bridge between a dead mineral and a living plant. And then, of course, that's the bridge between us and mineral, are the plants. So without humic substances, you're not going to get any plant growth, bottom line. And there's way more to it than that. Now, there's so much to it. It's basic to life, okay? And so why do you need it in a garden? Because if you don't, then you're dealing straight salt fertilizers. You're dealing with an inert media and salts, which is basically what hydroponics is.
Sure.
Now, it's just inert media with chemical salts balanced in a perfect level, or theoretically perfect. for plant growth. But the problem with that is all those nutrients tend to react. They tend to tie up and combine. And so it's very difficult to maintain, the right nutrition for a plant cell. And we're talking about cells also here. We're talking about cellular function, because this works the same way with one-cell organisms. It does plants and also animals. And we use animals as bioassay. We use plants. We use seeds. It's a cellular phenomenon. Okay, why do we need it? Because without it, you have a very incomplete picture there in terms of what plants need. Plants need enzymes. They need to complete enzyme systems. They have to have trace elements in forms that are chelated or available. And humic substances, specific fulvic acid, provides all those benefits. So in other words, you can make a theoretically perfect hydroponic solution. And we did this. It was research done at Humboldt University in Berlin, Germany, not Humboldt County.
That's funny.
Humboldt
Ironic. Very ironic.
I was like, oh, that sounds
good. In Germany, right? They're the ones that are working the closest with me on this humic acid problem. They're very high-level chemists, very, very high level. And they have a hydroponic and aeroponic laboratory, greenhouse complex.
That must be fun.
And they tested our product, fulvic acid, our full power, and our other products in a theoretically perfect aeroponic laboratory, growing a range of vegetable crops, including tomatoes, basil, a lot of Thai vegetables, because the researcher was a Thai PhD candidate. But anyway, so you could devise a completely perfect theoretical NPK trace element, hydroponic formula, and they did. And then they'd have controls using the same exact formula, NPK trace elements, and our products, fulvic acid or humic acid or TM7. Okay, so just to make a long story short, in the case of these vegetables, including tomatoes, Thai vegetables, which are mostly greens like edible, sweet potato, basil, etc. Anyway, the yield increases over perfect were 95%. So, in other words, this is a missing link in terms of total biomass production, or in other words, total efficiency.
Now, can you help us distinguish? A lot of us have been using humic acid. Some of us have been using fulvic acid. There internally among growers, there's a lot of misunderstanding between the difference, especially because, as you said, in California and Oregon, you got to label them both as humics. Can you help explain how humic, I believe, turns into fulvic acid and what the differences are?
Yeah, well, okay. Yeah, humic, it all starts with humic acids with an S. See, there's
Acids,
a whole range
plural.
of humic acids with an S. There's not one, there's no such thing. Okay, for one thing, there's no such thing as humic acid. It's a fraction of humus or humic matter. In other words, it's like soup. Okay, what does that soup contain? That's what's important. Humic acid is a broad term, very, very broad, and you have different molecular weights. Okay, so to try to put this into perspective, humic acid's black. Okay, I mean, there's 5 different fractions of humic acids with an S. Okay, there's 5 different fractions of fulvic acid. Okay, humic acid is black. We know that humus is black. Good soils are black. Okay, fulvic acid is gold. It's the color of the sun. It's the energy from the sun. It's the same color as the sun. And if you look at our product, it's a golden brass fulvicus, fulvic in Latin is fulvicus. It means brass color or sun color.
So that actually refers to the color.
Right. Yeah. So what fulvic acid seems to be, now we could bring in orgone theory in here because it's soluble organic matter. Okay, soluble organic matter absorbs orgone energy. and water absorbs orgone energy. So you have the whole concept, which is Wilhelm Reich and Pfeiffer and some people that developed biodynamics, okay? And it has to do with the organic matter absorbing orgone energy. That's a big story, okay?
Right.
But basically, fulvic acid is concentrated sunlight.
That's cool.
And I'm trying to make this simple. You know?
Yeah,
I mean,
Well, and it's concentrated. It's concentrated by generations of life and
Right.
webs. Multiple levels of the life web and all this. But at the end of the day, it's that sun energy that got into
Right.
something that got eaten by
in
something that
the
got
long
eaten.
run. So
Right.
I
It's
have a
it's
completely
like grass-fed cows.
right. I have a completely hydro garden that I'm growing right now, and I use the full power. And essentially, what I've just found that it does is, like you said, it's bottled. It helps my uptake of my nutrients, especially doing something like an ebb and flow. It's only getting fed for 4 minutes at a time, and then it's pulling down, and the humic acids are helping, and the full power helps my plants uptake what is important to it.
big time. But more importantly, on a physiological level, it increases the absorption of CO2 by the plant by about 20%.
Okay.
if it's
That's
used
major.
with the
Yeah,
optimal
that's
amount.
huge. And I've also noticed that too. When I was first, when I wasn't using it, I was probably running my room, around 1,300. And now that I do use it, I have it up around 15, and they love it. So
Exactly.
it seems that they're
so the
absorbing more.
plant is on another yield threshold. It's on another plateau.
Absolutely. I'm only half. I'm on day 37, and it looks like my flowers did last harvest in day 47. So it looks
It's coming
a lot
in the
nicer.
second harvest.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm way more confident now. But I mean, I noticed the difference.
So
Yeah, well, there's a lot of things going on. But back to the question, humic acid
yes,
versus fulvic. Humic acid is black. Okay, it's
Yeah.
high molecular weight. It's like how you refine crude oil. Like gasoline is at the top.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a low molecular weight. It's real volatile. It's kind of clear or kind of golden. And
Right.
crude oil is black and tarry.
Sure.
Okay, so that's sort of an example of what I'm trying to say here. In other words,
73.
only the low molecular weight humic fraction, which is called fulvic acid, can be absorbed by cells. The black stuff, or the black and brown stuff, has an effect on soil structure, and soil microorganisms can utilize it, and it does have an effect on soil structure, microorganisms, and stuff like that. But
Right.
plants can't take it up.
Gotcha. No, that makes
Plants
sense.
can't take it up. And if you use too high of a concentration or you use it too often, you'll get wilting, you'll get yellowing. It tends to plug up the roots.
Yeah.
So we don't recommend it in a completely. Matter of fact, in the testing at Humboldt University in Germany proved that the highest yield in pure hydroponics comes from the fulvic fraction, because the humic acid's just not doing anything. It
No.
can't be
No.
absorbed.
Is
No,
it help?
but-
I use it as a foliar. Even is that
humic acid is a
essentially?
foliar.
I put a little bit of my full power in my foliar.
Full power is fulvic acid.
Right.
fulvic.
Yeah, so that can go to the
that
cell.
can go through with the
Yeah, only the
oils.
fulvic can be absorbed by the
That's
by
it,
the
that sunlight.
the leaf.
That's exactly what it's like. I love it.
So
By cells in general. Now, if you get some, like you can mix up our humic fulvic, what we call full humic, and you can spray that on plants, and the fulvic acid content in there is very high, and that's absorbed by the plants, and you'll get a response. The humic isn't, but the humic actually can protect against fungal invasion, like tobacco mosaic. It'll deactivate viral particles on the surface of the leaf.
interesting.
So it has it.
So it
And I
has a
constantly worry about
protective
that.
effect, but that's
So
it.
it's surface effect. It's
You know,
not internal.
Yeah,
That's cool.
It's totally surface, and again, too much is a bad thing.
Right.
Is a bad thing, right?
And so, really, in a hydroponic system, I would never use humic acids. I would always use fulvic acid, which is really low molecular weight. It's really yellow or gold.
It's kind of like the 73 screen would be the fulvic, and the 190 and all that kind
Or
of.
it's like when you buy motor oil or whatever. You get,
I'm
you
just
know,
kinda
the
comparing it
Right,
to
I mean,
hash.
even
I'm
the
going to hash.
nitrozyme
I'm
that I
going to
use is like derived from sea algae, I think, but it's just humic acids, and it's dark, thick
So
black.
that's it's not fulvic.
And I've noticed.
Oh
even
yeah,
it just
kelp has humic acid in it.
Right.
Yep, and it wasn't like I said.
So
I
does
used
coffee.
it and then tossed
So does
it right
coffee.
away.
But when you put the humic acid in the soil, Dr. Mark texted me here, so I'm cheating. I don't really know this off the top of my head, but he says that the humates will bind to metal ions such as iron, calcium, magnesium, and zinc, and make the carboxylate salts that enable the transport of these essential minerals throughout the plant and into plant cells that needs these minerals. And they also obviously increase the water holding capacity of the soil when you introduce it into soil. Now, my question is, does that go to like a soilless medium, like a cocoa, or just an inert peat?
Well, again, that's a tough one to say. Now, I'll tell you one thing. If you're talking about potting mixes, especially coconut coir, it's got high in salts. It's high in sodium. Okay, humic acid, the black stuff, I'll call it. Let's call it
The black stuff, the black
protects
liquid
plants
stuff.
against uptake of sodium. Okay, and other toxins. For instance, you can take a crappy potting soil you buy in a hardware store, full of bark. When it breaks down, it gets gummy. It produces toxins. Okay, so if you happen to use a soluble humic acid product like our full humic, in that, it will protect the plant against uptake of all that bad stuff. See? But if you're working with a totally inert media, or hydroponics or aeroponics, well, there's no need.
So that's
You wouldn't want to use humic acids because it's going to interfere. It tends to bind things, like it might take the phosphate out of solution, for instance.
So that could be a reason, like you said, why my roots may be, a little off-white or a little darker would be because you're using humic acids, maybe not necessarily where they're supposed to be there.
Exactly. And eventually it'll plug up the roots. The humic substances will plug up the roots. And now the other thing is, there's so many products on the market. Now, I've been doing this since the 70s, and I've seen them come and go over and over. And I call this the humic acid cycle. Okay, people find out about humic acids. Sounds wonderful. They do all these wonderful things. It's like a miracle, And they may even try some, and they get some great results. But then a lot of bad products come on the market, and then humic acid gets the reputation. Oh, it's snake oil. It's a scam, And then 20 years goes by, and it comes up again. See, I've seen that over and over. People jump into this thing. They think it's a quick buck. And, you can make it out of cheap waste product from coal. Leonardite. They just scrape it off the surface of coal mines in North Dakota,
Yeah, no,
And so,
And that's obviously low quality humic material. It doesn't have much of that sunlight to be concentrated through the generations of life, right?
No. And then you have heat. Okay, if you take humic substances to 210 degrees Fahrenheit, okay, you oxidized it.
right.
Humic substances self-oxidize. So if you drain a peat bog, or let's say you're farming a peat in California, like in Stockton, you lose about an inch a year just from oxidation. So humic substances oxidize. They must be preserved. They must be processed in a certain way. And the temperature can't exceed 210 degrees Fahrenheit, or you lose it all. So most of these companies, they'll make a hot extract with sodium hydroxide, with lye, and then they add phosphoric acid, and then they have a so-called fulvic acid solution, and then they might try to dry that with a blast furnace or a blast dryer and make a soluble powder. Well, they killed it. Okay, this is delicate chemistry. Enzymes, polyphenols, things like that. I mean, I can really get into what makes this stuff work.
Well, I'll tell you what, we got half an hour left.
Delicate.
We have half an hour left to talk about specifically about this. So whatever depth you're comfortable going into that you feel you can steer us back out of in about 30 minutes, we'd love for you to take it as deep as we can go.
And also,
I just want to get that point across that humic acids the term is so broad. It's like soup.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of soup?
What kind of soup?
Is it stone soup, or is it minestrone, or is it tomato, or what?
I like Italian wedding soup. That's my favorite.
There are
how
certain
is your soup
biological.
made?
How's our made?
Yeah, in comparison, so it's not coal and heat and all this. You use enzymatic and rainwater, correct?
Right. Well, right, because we won't use groundwater because groundwater has pesticides, toxins, metals, salts. And if you go back to orgone or biodynamic theory, it's lost its charge once it hits the ground. So this is kind of complex. And we also use vortexing technique with this stuff. And that goes back to Victor Schellenberg and how you activate water and all that. I won't go into that very deep. But I'll tell you, we do use water that comes off the Gulf of Alaska, the Bering Sea, that comes down the coast here in the winters, and that's we collect that, and then it goes through a vortexing process. It's already very active, and it's pure, and we filter it additionally. And then we use a fermentation process. Now, most companies would never do this, like people that were interested in my company or distributors. Why do you do this, Bob? Your product takes 3 months to make. That's unacceptable. We can't, 3 months, what?
So you ferment it for 3 months?
Yes, we do, in a controlled environment. I started this in Hawaii, which you don't need a controlled environment in Hawaii because it was perfect. But here we have specialized building, lab, where we produce this, and it has to be fermented, and we use a microbial culture from Hawaii. Remember I started talking about the microorganisms that break down lava, and then you have high canopy rainforests?
Yeah.
Okay, well, they're the microorganisms we use. So those specific microorganisms can help unravel an ancient molecule. So this humic acid's been sitting in the ground anywhere from 18,000 to a couple of million years. So it takes time to unwind that molecule, okay? Humic acid ore, it takes 9 to 12 tons of compost to equal 2 pounds of humic, of our full power. And that's because it takes 23 feet of peat to make 1 foot of humate, what we call humate, which is the stuff we mine. And then we ferment. And it wakes it up, okay? I'm trying to give you an idea here. It takes time to wake it up, okay? And so this fermentation process is ongoing, and then there's a certain point where it's ready. It's a little bit like winemaking. It's a lot like winemaking because we use similar equipment, and it looks like wine when we're done, too. It looks like good, Moselle or Rhine wine. It's got this color. And so you have something that's biologically active. It's done in a vacuum, so you don't have it won't oxidize. It's not going to oxidize, okay? And then on top of that, the temperatures are kept at the right temperatures, which are below 80 degrees. It's very important. So,
and what's the starting material? Because we did talk about lignite before, but your material is not lignite. It's different.
Well, not really. It's a funny thing. Over the years, Leonardite was it was Dr. Leonard in North Dakota that described Leonardite.
Exactly.
It's oxidized coal. It's oxidized lignite. It's a surface deposit where big deposits of coal, they start to oxidize and they go slack, what they call in mining slack, which means it starts to break down into a powder. Okay, so that's called slack lignite or a Leonardite. Okay, that's your reed sedge stuff. It has very little, maybe 1%, if you're lucky, of fulvic acid. It's been sitting out there in the open for millions of years. I mean, so that's really Leonardite. Okay, so there's other products that are more closely related to peat, more like compressed peat. So in other words, something that was derived from higher plants, like oak, hardwood trees, bark, lignite, and then it forms peat, which is something that's more aerobic, less anaerobic. I mean, in other words, the decomposition was with microorganisms that need air. Okay. And so they tend to do different things. So you end up with what I call fossil peat, really. And because that's the only one that really has the fulvic acid that I'm looking for.
So it's not peat moss. It's like a hard
peat moss. No. Yeah, peat moss is that. It's moss that's decomposed and forms a black, nice or not, or it's just sphagnum. I used to be in the peat business in Montana. So, I used to make potting soils out of what I call humus peat. Now, humus peat is just general stuff from the forest, leaves, bark. It maybe got washed into a low spot. It may have formed there. It decomposes over thousands of years. And that's a rich source of fulvic acid, humic acid. It didn't leach away. It didn't get hot. So it's kind of hard to find. So the deposits we find are preserved between clay, and clay was deposited by volcanoes. So it tends to protect it from leaching and decomposition over, eons and time. And so it's like preserved, in the earth under layers of clay. And then we take it and wake it up, you might say, and pretty much extract the bioactive components. In the case of the full humic product, which is our soil product and used in media and potting mix and agricultural uses, we take that humus peat and we have a one-step process that takes an insoluble, dusty material and turns it into a soluble, clean material in one step, without a chemical extraction step, without a heat drying step. Okay, now this is proprietary, method. I don't really share that method how we do that, but that's what we do, and so it's the only product out there that doesn't add anything or extract anything. So we take it we activate it. So 1 pound of raw humic of our stuff, full humic, is equal to 10 pounds of raw humic. So that was one of your questions. So what's the difference between this cheap raw humic, Leonardite, and our full humic? The difference is 10 to 1.
Right.
In terms of biological activity.
And also application?
One reason is because it's soluble. It's the other reason is because we didn't destroy the good stuff in it. You see? Now, everybody else is using... oh, yeah. I'm pretty good at that, too. Matter of fact, I got second place in Cannabis Cup last year in Portland.
Well, in that case, I'm going to take a moment right now. And Adam, are you going to help me do an overrule on ADSI? We have to join forces for overrule. Dr. Faust, if you're free April 16th, we're inviting you to the Adam Dunn Show Invitational. Details will be forthcoming.
There you go.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Nice. So, can we talk about what's up with the sustainability of the source of this material? It sounds like you have some sort of pretty deep deposit that you have access to. Is this stuff, it's slowly made though, so how quickly can we go through it?
Well, there's extensive deposits of it, and North America is holding the stash on most of the humic. The Chinese have equally good stuff, but they've been using it for thousands of years, and they probably, have less than we have. But we have, there's multi-million tons of it. I mean, I've been approached by people, mining companies that have miles of it, so there are very, very large deposits in 4 or 5 states. And, so I do biological assays, so I can determine, what's the good stuff pretty quick, and, but you can actually make it from waste. I mean, I would love to be doing that, and actually I am working with one company that's kind of working in that direction, but the Germans have used fermentation, contained fermentation, let's call it submerged fermentation, with specific microorganisms, specific fungi. Fungi is behind this, with waste, like bark or wood or trash or paper or something like that.
But organic waste or inorganic waste too?
Yeah, organic waste,
organic waste.
Mainly wood waste that have lignans, tannins, things like that. There's lots of stuff like that out there. And they can make a humic acid that way. So theoretically, we'd never run out. You know, in other words, if we ever ran out of the only reason we're not making it synthetically, but using fermentation with waste, is because it's much more economically feasible to mine it at the present time. But if we ever did run out, oh yeah, I mean, we could shift right into using these other techniques, and making biodynamic compost is I mean, everybody can make their own fulvic acid if you learn how to make biodynamic compost.
Well, and so that's a great bridge.
It takes a long time.
That's a great bridge into our next topic, because we are, we still got 20 minutes left with you, of course, but we are bridging into talking about biodynamics. And why don't you tell us a little about your background in biodynamics and how it comes into your work?
Well, I attended the University of Delaware College of Agriculture. And
that's my neck of the woods. Yes.
Yeah.
That makes me so. I have so many friends from college or from high school that went to University of Delaware. It's ridiculous.
Left you behind.
Too much yerba mate.
Well, it's a chemical. They have an agricultural college, and my study was entomology and applied ecology. So I was interested in non-toxic pest control. For some reason, I was sort of organic right from day one. I sort of got a revelation back in the 60s. You can guess maybe why. But anyway, I wanted to be the alternative. I was interested in biological control, and of course that we had a farm not far. So I was actually my last year in college. In that college, I even went to Colorado State University for a while. So,
boom.
In Fort Collins. Okay, so but at the University of Delaware, I was also running the family farm in Pennsylvania. So I wanted to take that farm and turn it around into an organic farm. And I was joined the Biodynamic Association, which is in Pennsylvania at the time. And I got into all this stuff like Enifred Pfeiffer and Steiner and all this stuff. And, reading Goethe, who was the basis of, for really esoteric German science, that influenced Steiner and Pfeiffer and all these people in biodynamics. It's very complex and esoteric, big time. Like the burning the horns and all that. And
absolutely. The science of that has seemed pretty elusive to me since I've been, I'm not necessarily initiated into those esoteric secrets, and from the outside it looks a little what I call hippie magic.
Well, it was. In those days, absolutely it was, okay? But we didn't have the tools then we have now. So now I understand a lot why biodynamic was working, okay? And it has a lot to do with fulvic acid, I can tell you that. And it has a lot to do with orgone energy, and that's another big discussion. And that's really the energy of the universe. That's really what animates critters, let's say. That's what affects speciation. It's a fascinating subject, but biodynamics is trying to understand this interplay between the environment, the universe, us, plants, and how this all works. I mean, you're talking about things like planting in the phases of the moon, for instance. So a lot of it is kind of ancient wisdom. Some of it is just at the time, they didn't really understand the mechanism. Like, for instance, biodynamic preparations. What are biodynamic preparations? These were substances that were, the basis of it was composting, okay? But then it was applied at homeopathic rates and has a huge effect on soils, okay? Well, so does my full power, okay? So I see basically our product called Full Power as a modern biodynamic preparation.
Interesting.
So it can be used on thousands of acres, and it has all the effects on soil structure, earthworm activity, and just general energy. But basically, that's the whole idea of biodynamics. What we're trying to do in biodynamics is stimulate the soil web, soil life, the microorganisms that function in the soil. Soil as an ecosystem. And so anything you throw on the soil that can stimulate that is forming humic substances, because humic substances are formed by the action of microorganisms, specifically fungi. Okay, and so for the formation of humic substances, you need trace elements to complete enzyme systems. You need complex enzymes and some of the substances that are missing from normal soils that are supplied by humic acids. So it was an early attempt, before we had organic chemistry, before we really knew what was going on. In other words, if I pulled out a cell phone 100 years ago, it would have been magic, right?
Right.
Because nobody would have a clue. Like, who's that picture? You know, what? There's a moving person inside of it. That's magic, right? So back in the day, you know, biodynamics is almost like it was magic, right? Because we couldn't really, it sounded crazy. But now we have a better idea of what's really going on. And the Swiss government, for instance, did a 21-year study where they compared biodynamics on a bunch of different crops versus conventional, which is using chemical and herbicides, versus organic. Okay, so what was the cheapest unit of wheat, potatoes, etc., was produced with biodynamics? Okay, and that was published in Science magazine, and really the chemical companies and the status quo people in the world fought that article. They tried to get it taken out of Science magazine because it didn't tell the story they wanted to hear.
So that compared biodynamics with organics and conventional?
Yes, with organics and conventional. Now, it wasn't the highest yield, but it was the lowest cost per bushel, per pound.
Per pound.
Of what you're trying to produce. In this case, it was wheat, potatoes, things like that. So from an actually agronomic, from practical standpoint, biodynamic, it makes the most sense.
Right.
You know, as far as sustainability, but it's not marketed.
Right.
You know,
and if you can't, then you got to get it in a bottle, which is
and there's
power.
so much faith in farming because it takes a year to prove the results or a whole grow season. A lot of farmers are skeptical to change any of their methods because they already know their current challenges that they're dealing with, and they can at least get to a harvest. And so when you say we're going to change everything to biodynamic, that can invoke some fear in the person who's doing the farming.
No, you can't really do that. I mean, and it's such a big learning curve, too, in biodynamic. And so that's why I came up with what I came up with. I had a lot of time in Hawaii to think about these things. And I worked for some pretty big humic companies in research and also marketing. So I just had plenty of chance. I had plenty of focus, you know, and not distractions. I lived in the rainforest for nearly 20 years. And, yeah, I was growing some stuff there, too. It was pretty good. But it gave me time to think about these things and come up with a solution. You know? So what I see with our TM7, our Ion 14, our full humic is these are modern biodynamic preparations that make it practical. Now, I don't usually talk about that because, you know, it's hard to explain what biodynamics is. You know? Right. But with humic substance science now, we have a better idea of what's really going on, and it's deep. It's very deep. And I could get into some of the latest research, which really points a finger at very specific chemical compounds that are in these humic acids, or in the fulvic acid. And these are called polyphenols. And the German researchers have taken this thing farther than anybody, right down to the genetic basis. So some of these particular polyphenols in the category of tannins are what's in bark. Okay?
Tannins what's in tea, too, right? Like tannic acid comes out if you oversteep tea, right?
Exactly, but there's 5 different fractions. Tannin's not just one thing. Tannins with an S, okay? But so there are specific tannins that activate genetic pathways. For instance, open up yield potential, put plants and animals on another level, okay? it's a little hard to explain. For instance, I've been working with the giant pumpkin people out here in Oregon, for the last bunch of years. And, we went from like 500-600 pound pumpkins up to 1,800 pound pumpkins. Okay.
Whoa,
You're not going to get
1,800 pound pumpkins?
You're not going to get there without humic substance.
Wait a second. Hold on.
Humic and some ecto.
Mycorrhiza?
Yeah, probably.
Endo-ecto?
No, a lot of ecto, I think.
Yeah.
A lot of ecto on those.
Yeah. That's crucial. That's a crucial part of this.
Yeah.
Like I was saying earlier, maybe I wasn't. Endomycorrhizal fungi directly feed on fulvic acid.
They feed on, or they produce
energies.
They feed on it.
Oh, yeah, we were
Energy
talking
source.
about this. But we didn't talk about it on the show yet. I want to hear about this more.
Yeah, tell me about this.
Well, it's considered like actually a nutrient basis, and it's selective. In other words, mycorrhizal fungi feed directly from fulvic acid, which is soluble organic matter and all these enzymes and other stuff. And if for instance, it's high in polysaccharides, sugars. Okay. So, but if you just use plain sugar, you're stimulating all these other microorganisms like yeasts